Okay, I'm back. I think the CDC tried to take me out with the virus or something. I'm totally kidding. Okay, so I was talking about Pasteur. So just in short, the Pasteur theory, basically, I refer back to the first video, but I'm going to just expand. I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to expand on what I was saying. So the Pasteur germ theory basically leaves the public dependent on something to keep them healthy, right? So we're seeking medicine, we're seeking vaccines and stuff from the pharmaceutical industries in order to stay healthy. Okay, now there's another guy who was a scientist as well, who was his contemporary name, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Beauchamp or Beauchamp. He was French, so I don't know about French pronunciations, but anyway, Antoine Beauchamp believed in terrain theory, and this is what a lot of traditional Chinese medicine, alternative medicine, in relations to diseases is based on. Homeopathy, all this stuff is based on the fact if your body is intact and it's not, you're getting all your vitamins, you're getting nutrients, you're getting, you have low stress levels, so all these things allow your immune system to run healthy, or to run sufficiently, and to run, what's the word I'm looking for, just to run very smoothly. Okay, if you're having those, even if you have a sufficient or if you have a swift, smooth running immune system, then you come in contact with all of these germs, then they're not going to affect you. For me, that makes more sense, because if you look at plants are getting the right nutrients and stuff, and they're getting stuff, a lot of the, when they don't get nutrients and stuff, then it's easier for bugs to attack them, right? If a fish gets sick, you don't vaccinate them, you change the water, okay? This also will explain to me how they talk about the Black Plague in Europe and how that spread. They talk about, 1/3 of the population died, but what happened to the 2/3 that did? And back then in that society, people would have horses. The horses would shit in the streets and bring a lot of bacteria. They would throw their trash and everything in the street. They didn't have sanitation. They didn't have water treatment. They didn't have a lot of those things. And if you look at vaccination charts, a lot of the diseases that they had came all the way down without vaccination when they started implementing sanitation and water treatment and stuff like that. Also, if you think about scurvy was like a vitamin C. So if you weren't getting those nutrients of vitamin C, they would call English people limeys, because they would take limes on the ships to eat with them. So they figured out people would get scurvy because they weren't getting enough vitamin C. So also, in another case in point, we were talking about famine and disease go hand in hand, right? Because if our immune systems are breaking down and they're not getting the right nutrients, then they're more susceptible to being attacked by diseases. You look at third world countries, when there's a lot of starvation, people are starting to wilt away and they look like skeletons and stuff, and flies are coming on them. I mean, there's probably a lot of flies there, but flies are also attracted to them because they're slowly dying and they're close to death, and they're not getting a lot of nutrients and disease, and stuff. So they're diseased and their immune system is failing. And then it's easier, I'm going down the conspiracy route right here, but it's easier to implement diseases in their society. So when I'm thinking about things at the CDC, this scientist that I talked about, Cunningham, I think I read this somewhere, I can't confirm this, but I think he was talking about the flu shot and how it caused an outbreak, and there's also speculation that he had come across information that the CDC was planning an outbreak. They were planning one. So it's interesting with the whole germ theory and the terrain or cell theory. In the first world, I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off by just, air, spraying stuff or unleashing it on the public, because their sanitation in the first world is so solid. I don't think they're going to be able to do it that way. But I think they might be able to unleash one in the third world, and that will be enough panic to scare people and to get them to get vaccinated. I think the only way that they can start an outbreak in the first world is to actually get us to get injected, to inject the whatever virus or anything in us. So very interesting too. Came across this 1970, way before I was born, but 1976 swine flu epidemic, where they were like panicking the public, and it was on 60 Minutes and all these other, you know, TV shows to get this flu vaccine. And they had, you know, they were saying celebrities had to do it, and they had commercials. They're like, you got to get your flu vaccine. There's a pandemic coming. There's, you know, it's going to be bad and you got to be protected. A lot of people ended up getting injured or dying. Okay. So I'm going to put that in the links. Very interesting too. And I can understand why too, why a lot of people are untrustful or not, you know, trusting the government when it comes to vaccines. And yeah, especially because, I mean, there are a few incidents. There's a Qatar incident, I should put in the links too, where 40,000 people got polio from the polio vaccine. Same thing. So when you hear about people getting polio, which by the way, when you see people in the iron lungs, that was actually paralysis. It was actually very rare. Polio is a like a stomach virus, and I guess through certain circumstances it could get into like certain vessels and stuff and cause paralysis, but actually that was very rare for, you know, polio in that era. And God, I can't even go to polio, it's a different video. But the thing that too, that whole, like, there was a whole campaign about polio and how that was marketed and stuff too, and then people got the polio vaccine because they were scared, and then people actually got polio and got crippled and hurt from the vaccine. The vaccine was actually more deadly than the disease, because people that got the vaccine and not like natural polio were the ones that were getting paralyzed and crippled and all this shit. So I'll put a link to the Qatar incident. I'll see if I can find that whole March of Dimes polio thing, and maybe a couple lectures if you want to watch that talks about polio, the history of polio and all that stuff if you're interested. But anyway, my heart goes out to I think it's Thomas Cunningham and his family. Timmothy Cunningham. I mean, my heart's just breaking. Like, you just look at his picture, he has like the sweetest smile, and just I mean, he worked his ass off. He was trying to do a good thing, and it's just really sad that a lot of these scientists are sticking their neck out there and they get killed, or either they get their reputation discredited. Speaking of that, Andrew Wakefield, Del Bigtree of Highwire did a really good interview on him. I think I'm going to put that in the links too, so you can kind of see his side, you know, and get his perspective on what happened. Yeah, guys. Anyway, all right, peace and love. Talk to you later. Bye. Mwah.